lesson 13, page 12 of the psaltic method. My name is Michael Tsiapoudas with Patriarchal Psaltophiles. Last time we learned about how to read ancient Greek text. This time we're going to learn one more new character, petasti, that even though we traditionally accounted with the quantity characters because it goes one note up, just like Oligon, it goes one note up with a quality to it, a flutter. Okay, so in case you're wondering, if we have Oligon, why would we need to have also pedasti if they're doing the same thing? They're not doing the same thing. One goes up plainly and the other one goes up with a flutter. So pedasti has a combination of quality and quantity into it. Thee, again. Thee, with pedasti. Thee, or thee. Okay, so the voice goes a little bit higher than the actual note that it hits, in this case ke, but it quickly comes down. Thee, 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 or thee, thee. It has a flutter in the voice, and you can perform it the fast way with a very fast flutter, this thee, or thee. And you can choose between these two methods of performing it according to how fast or how slow your tempo is. Obviously, if your tempo is very fast, you don't have time to do the fast flutter. So you're going to make it a little bit slower, a little bit easier on your throat. If your tempo is slow, you may want to give it more of an emphasis and make the flutter a little bit more pronounced. But the important thing to remember is that petasti goes one up with that qualitative energy or effect to it. So it's kind of like in between a quantity and a quality character. You remember when we learned the big categories, we had quantity, time, quality. Petasti is one of these things that falls kind of like in both quantity because it goes one note up and quality categories because it has a flutter. Sometimes you're going to see it combined with an oligon and it goes two notes up, antiphonia, or a third up. Okay, so if you are on the and you see this thing, you're going to go to zo. The ke zo. So you go the zo. Why would you use this and not something else? Because this preserves the flutter, the quality of the petasti. Okay, so there you have petasti. The next thing that we're going to learn today is the syneches elephron. You are familiar with elephron, that if I hide these apostrophos that you see here, if there was a way to hide that and not see it, you would see only the elephron, and the elephron on its own would go two notes down, one antiphonia down. If you put an apostrophos very, very close to it, almost touching it, then this is pronounced exactly like that. The syneches elephron, which is this combination of the apostrophos and the elephron, goes one plus one down, one for this, one for the other. However, the first apostrophos goes on the arsis. So the top and the bottom are exactly the same thing. Okay, so the syneches elephron is one plus one down with the first one on the arsis. I want to talk to you a little bit about Despres Vies. The reason I am giving you all this information is because ultimately you are learning all of these things because you want to chant during liturgy and help out the priest, because the priest is going to say his part and you as a chanter, you're going to say your part. So I like to give you a little bit of information of how realistically things are going to go when you step up to the analogion, which is the stand of the chanter. Despres Viestis Theotokou that we've been learning so far, it's an actual hymn that you are going to be chanting during liturgy, and in fact it's chanted 3 times. 3 times. We talked about cadences. We have different kinds of cadences. We have cadences that you finish Despres Viestis Theotokou the way we did so far, which gives the signal to the other chanter to start. And when you chant it 3 times as a whole set of 3 times, you have what we call the final cadence, which ends this 3-time set of Despres Vies. And when you chant the final cadence, the priest knows that it's his time to say his piece. Okay. Antiphonia, antiphony. Very important concept in the Greek Orthodox liturgical practice. During liturgy, the priest says something, then the 2 chanters, alpha and beta, or first and second. By the way, in Greek language, when you see a letter with an accent, an oxia like that, that letter usually means a number. So alpha is the 1 or first. Vita is number 2 or the second. So sometimes in liturgical text, you're going to see alpha oxia, vita oxia. Basically, they mean the first and the second chanter in the church. Antiphonia means that the 2 chanters, the first and the second, or the right and the left, respond to the priest and to each other. It's like a conversation or a dialogue. And actually, the word antiphonia means one phony and the other one antiphony. So one voices something and the other one anti-voices something. In other words, it responds to that first phony. So antiphonia means you have a conversation or a dialogue. And this happens a lot in the Orthodox liturgical practice. I mentioned the right and the left chanters. When you enter any Orthodox church, the first part that you enter, and usually you light a candle, is called the narthex or the narthegas, and then you enter the main church. And when you look straight ahead, you're going to see the hieron or the altar that the altar boys get inside. Usually we have the icons or the temple or the iconostasis, the same thing, that separates the hieron from the rest of the people. The chanters, they stand outside of the hieron to the right and to the left. Okay? To the right and to the left. So you enter the church, you look all the way straight ahead, you see the hieron, you see the icons. Just behind the icons, you're going to see the 2 chanters' stands. The one to the right is called the alpha, and the one to the left is called the beta. Okay, so when we go into the liturgy in this book, in some places you're going to see, just opened it here, you can see alpha psaltis. That means that the chanter that happens to be to your right is going to say that particular piece. So that's why I'm telling you this information. It's going to become relevant later. The last thing we're going to talk about today is siphiston. Siphiston, just like omalon and varia, belong to the quality character category. Στην κατηγορία των χαρακτήρων ποσότητος, and it's called siphiston. If you remember the omalon, I showed you one way of performing it. Varia, I showed you two ways of performing it. One that you actually give a grave accent to the character that follows Varia, and another one that when you have the apostrophos, you have this downward bow. So Varia had two ways of performance. Siphiston has maybe 3 or 4. So siphiston is used in different situations, in different combinations of other characters, quantity characters usually. And according to its position into that combination, it is performed differently. That's why it's extremely important for you to spend maybe 10 to 20 minutes a day listening to traditional chanters, especially chanters that they served in the ecumenical patriarchate of Constantinople, because they know exactly how to perform psiphiston according to the combinations that they see in front of them on a piece of paper. So they are the masters of how to perform this music, and the rest of us, we have to listen to them and look up to them and try to imitate, mimic their performances. And that's how you are going to be securely rooted into performing psiphiston and the other qualitative characters rooted into solid patriarchal tradition. Thank you so much for watching. And next time, we are going to actually start chanting Tes Presviestis Theotokou as an antiphony set. And we are getting very, very close to actually chanting hymns straight out of the liturgy, exactly how we are going to be chanting them at church. You should be proud of yourselves. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.